Hi, welcome to On the Road with Bobby Halton, and we are live from FDIC 2008, and I'm here with my good friend Sean DeCrane. Sean, thanks for joining us today.
My pleasure.
How's everything in Ohio?
It's finally warming up.
Is it really?
Yeah, we got 3 feet of snow since March 1st, so there were still some snow piles when I was on my way here.
Now, Sean is involved in several projects. We're going to touch on a couple of them. And for the IAFF, you're actually a code representative, I guess, would be the correct term.
Correct.
Right?
I'm the representative to the International Code Council.
And how's that? What do you do in that capacity? What's your job working for the IAFF in that capacity?
To represent the firefighters' interest in the building codes and the fire codes. And as the building code process is evolved, it's between, industry seeking to get certain products inserted into the code and what's required, and it's a minimum code, so we have to protect our members, and we're trying to do that.
Yeah, and it's engineering.
A lot of it is engineering.
So it's code that's engineered to the minimum.
It's the minimum standards. And what we bring as firefighters, we bring the real life experience. We don't have to get in there and debate technical engineering aspects of the building codes. What we're trying to encourage is that line firefighter to come up to the microphone and say, this is what I see in real life. This is how the building reacts.
So how do you have to attend meetings then, I guess. How do you represent the IAFF? You just bring information back, or you actually vote, or how does that work?
Well, there are only 2 entities that can vote, and those are government officials, building code officials and fire officials. They have the final vote. It's a 2-step process. There's the code action hearing, which we just had recently in California, which is a 2-week ordeal. I'll go that far. It's an ordeal. But anyone can submit a code proposal to change the codes. And what happens are these code proposals are brought forth before the committee. There's a committee of 13 people that sit up there and listen to them. And the committee decides to approve or disapprove a code proposal. During that, it's a debate. The proponent and the opponent will each have 2 minutes to go to the microphone, 2 minutes for each person, to speak why they support this motion or why they do not support the motion, would like to see disapproval. There's a rebuttal period, and then the committee will vote. And what happens after this process is then they post what the results were of the public action hearing, and then you have a period of time for public comments where you can, like if a firefighter sat there and saw the introduction of lightweight construction into the residential code, and all of a sudden a light went off in his head and said, this isn't right. He can submit a code or a public comment, and then you have the final action hearings, which will be in September 17th to 23rd in Minneapolis. And at that, once again, the committee is disposed of. There will be microphones, and the microphones are now facing the audience. And these proponents and opponents are speaking to us as fire officials or building officials, because we're the deciding factor. And then they'll take a vote, and then we'll decide whether that code proposal goes forth or is discarded. And that's where we can really bring the power of the fire service into this process.
So now you do that for the IAFF. Getting the firefighters to get interested in code has always been a struggle, but it seems like it's gotten better. I mean, I think that we're seeing glued trusses, we're seeing things that guys just look at and gals look at, and we go, okay, this is crazy. We need to talk to somebody about it. So I think the interest is growing. What else are you doing? I know you and Jack have a radio show now that you've started.
Yeah, we came up with the title for it, but someone else came up with this title. I think it's outstanding, by the way. But we've been compared to Click and Clack on NPR, with the car show talk. But it's actually been, we've had 2 so far. I think it's been informative. We went over the results. And Jack and I have been discussing having guest appearances on there.
This is Jack Murphy.
Jack Murphy.
Former fire marshal out of Livonia, New Jersey, and worked in New York City in the hospital building industry. And
Jack and I got associated when we were at a code meeting in Chicago.
Okay.
And they were talking about
He's also the author of a book series, I think, Rapid Incident Command System.
Yes. And in this code meeting, they started talking about acceptable losses in the built environment, in buildings. And after this conversation went on for 5 or 10 minutes, raised my hand. I said, what about us? We're going in those buildings to get the acceptable losses, and we were told not to worry about it. And that's, I think, when Jack and our eyes met and said, well, we got to do something about this.
So Taming the Fire Environment on Fire Engineering Radio, shameless plug.
It's okay. It can be as shameless as you want.
That's okay. But you talk about things like how codes are developed, what codes are happening right now, where we need people to vote, how to become a member of the ICC, things that are critically important that we got to get out there.
And the biggest information we're trying to get was, you have 30,000 fire service personnel here at FDIC, just thirsting for knowledge. And you can look at the attendance and all the tactical speeches, or I should say presentations, and what we're doing with, how do we adapt to the building construction that is being thrust upon us. And the message here is, well, we can change our tactics and we can continuously do this, or we can do our other option also is to get involved in establishing what those construction practices are.
That's outstanding. I'll tell you, I think that we have to get involved. We have to get informed. Now, you're involved in other things as well.
There's the Vision 2020 project. There are a few projects out there, and I'm on a committee for the ICC. We're looking at what the heightened areas, permittable heightened areas are to build buildings in the United States.
And you've also come up with a building marking system similar to our 704 system.
Exactly.
But it has to do with construction.
Exactly. It's based on the Maltese Cross,
okay.
And it is the Maltese Cross. It's based on the 704 system. And we've heard a lot of battles out there about marking truss buildings. And we've got to identify which buildings contain trusses. And if we really look at it, the problems are not just trusses, but engineered lightweight products in general, whether they're light gauge steel, whether they're,
Could just be a built-up metal
wood.
deck roof.
Right.
Whatever it is.
And if you don't see that truss placarding, then you may have a false sense of security.
That's exactly right.
And this Maltese Cross will give you the type of construction, the occupancy, the load hazard, whether it's sprinklered or not, whether it's partially sprinklered, where that sprinkling system is. And the center is tactical considerations, where a local jurisdiction they determine what their tactical considerations are.
Now, other than the radio show, how can folks get a hold of you and Jack? How could they learn more about the marking
They can
system?
call me on my cell phone. It's 216-224-6150. They can email us. Go through, my email is rovloc93@aol.com.
And so I guess because you and Jack are still technically incompetent, you're not on the community site yet where people can just email you at the community
We're still
site.
looking for, no, actually I am on the community site.
Oh,
I've gotten
there
a couple of emails on there.
And
So they can go through the
place to
community
be,
site
actually.
to do that.
Taming the fire environment. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So just go to Sean DeCrane on the community website of Fire Engineering
Yes,
and
and I'll
shoot
get
Sean a note.
That's a great idea.
Be a great place to post that information too. That's good training to have, that marking system. I think that's the future. I think we're going to see that on every building eventually.
It's designed to be used just like the emergency response guidebook in the first 20 minutes of the incident, why that company officer is masking up.
Absolutely.
You can look up and see that.
Great stuff. Hey, Sean DeCrane, I know you got to go run and teach a class for me because I ride my friends like rented mules. But thank you for coming on the road with Bobby Halton.
My pleasure.
To all you out there, be careful out there.